All right. Welcome everyone to EC Head Consulting's Wednesday Night Nuggets. Uh, Tonight we have Miss Liz Head Elizabeth. You didn't change your name on your screen, so I'm gonna call you Elizabeth all night until you change it. Oh. Well, oh well. She will be talking about errors and omissions versus notary bonds. Okay. EC Head Consulting does notary training monthly. If you are interested in being a loan signing agent or a notary public, please get into one of our classes. Our next class is April 17th, and that will be Loan Document Review Workshop 1. Liz, take it away.
All right. Well, I am Liz Head, of course, EC Head Notary Training. And someone asked me a few months ago to do a training class on errors and omissions. And I thought, well, just look it up. And then somebody else asked about it. So I said, okay, let me just put something together for you. So tonight we are going to talk about the differences between, or what a notary bond gives you and what the errors and omissions insurance gives you. Now, this is also one of those times when we will look at some laws and regulations. And as Tamika likes to say, because she's your Notary 101 trainer, and as she likes to say, when we're talking about rules and regulations, it gets kind of boring. So that means we want to make sure everybody stays awake. So guess what? I would like for volunteers to help me train tonight. You know what? I always say that no one of us is as smart as the sum of all of us. So it takes a village, it takes a community. And I like to think that we have a great community. EC Head Notary Training Workshops has a great learning community. So with that being said, we're going to jump right in and talk about what errors and omissions insurance is. Errors and omissions insurance is designed to protect you from unintentional mistakes. When I say you, I mean you, the notary, or oversights which cause financial harm to a client or to the public. If a claim is filed, the policy will cover the loss and your legal defense up to the limits of your policy. If you are a notary employee and you are covered by a group errors and omissions policy from the NNA, the policy also covers your employer. I think most of us are self-employed. So now, I took this information straight from my policy. You can see it's got my little name up here.
Oops. That's your little name.
My big name. Got my big name up here. And the policy that I have through the National Notary Association, my errors and omissions, is with merchants. And in 2019, I purchased the 4-year policy, the 4-year term, and it cost me $260. Now, what you have to do is to make sure you are reading your policy to see what your policy covers. Now, we all know that for a loan signing agent, the minimum is $25,000. It's recommended that you do $100,000, at least $100,000. So what I've highlighted is, somebody just, if you could read what I've highlighted here, and then if there are some questions, we can talk about it. Which reminds me, anytime, this is an open class. Anytime you have questions, you stop me, we talk about it. You don't need to put it in the chat unless you're shy about talking, that is. And then if you just unmute yourself. Tamika, can they unmute themselves, or would you have to do it? You're muted, I can't hear you.
They can unmute themselves.
Okay, just when you're speaking, just unmute yourself, and then when you're not speaking, keep yourself on mute if that's okay. Who would like to read this part that's highlighted in yellow? Sorry, little mosquito or something. Tanya, I'm looking right at you. You may as well take it away.
I'll do it. The insured shall become obligated to pay by reason of liability for breach of duty while acting as a duly commissioned and sworn notary public. Claim for which is made against the insured by reason of any negligent act, error, or omission committed or alleged to have been committed by the insured, arising out of the performance of notarial service for others in the insured's capacity as a duly commissioned and sworn notary public. The company will also pay on behalf of the insured, subject to the limit of liability stated below, costs and expenses incurred in investigating, defending, or settling the insured's liability arising from the negligent act, error, or omission committed or alleged to have been committed by the insured, arising out of the performance of a notarial service for others in the insured's capacity as a duly commissioned and sworn notary public.
You see how it says alleged? Because, you know, people can sue you. You don't have to do anything wrong for someone to claim that you caused them harm. So now, the limit of liability. The liability of the company shall not exceed in aggregate for all claims, costs, and expenses under the policy amount of $100,000. If a claim is filed in excess of $100,000, it's not covered. Now, it continues with some exclusions. You've got to read your policy and know what it is that's covering you. Now, the merchant's policy through the National Notary Association, those are pretty standard policies, but you still want to make sure that you are reading your policy to see how or what you're covered, or how you're covered. So would someone like to go ahead and read that for me? Jennifer L., I'm looking at you, so you may as well go ahead.
Oh.
See, I'm just moving the screen. See, these people are smart. They think they don't have their camera on, so I ain't gonna mess with them. That ain't gonna stop me. Go ahead, Jennifer. Do you mind?
I do not.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Here we go. Exclusions. Coverage under this policy, as described in the coverage section of the policy, does not apply to any acts of or allegations of dishonest, fraudulent, criminal, libelous, slanderous, or malicious act or omission of the insured. Willful or intentional disregard of the law, bodily injury to or sickness, disease, or death of any person, including but not limited to emotional or mental distress and related conditions, injury to or destruction of any tangible property, including the loss of use thereof, fines or penalties imposed by law on the insured, or punitive, treble, exemplary, or similarly categorized damages, including fines and penalties.
Very good. Thank you.
Jennifer, we thank you. We thank you for reading that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I would have been stumbled a couple times.
I was a nervous wreck.
You did great.
Thank you.
Okay. Notary, insurance protection for notaries. A notary's errors and omission policies protects you as a notary should you make an unintentional mistake or omission while notarizing, or if someone files a false claim against you. An NNA notary E&O policy will provide you, someone needs to mute their mic. Someone needs to mute their mic. An NNA notary E&O insurance policy will provide you with protection for these and other losses and risks. Somebody want to tell me what these 4 things are that the NNA mentioned? All right, let me see who I can see.
Financial damages from notarization mistake or omissions filed against your NNA notary bond, unintentionally violating a law while notarizing, being named in a lawsuit even if you did nothing wrong, An imposter counterfeiting your seal containing your commission information and forging your signature on a document without your knowledge.
Any questions on any of that?
So you're saying these are the unintentional things that could happen that they will cover financial damages? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. We good?
They're not covering anything. If you're doing wrong, they're not covering anything, of course.
Correct. If you go out there and intentionally do something fraudulent, your policy is not going to cover you. It will investigate, and if it's determined that you did something fraudulent, will not be covered. Now, that's according to what's in my policy, okay? I do believe your policy, if you have an NNA merchant's policy, it's going to pretty much read the same. However, I have put at the bottom a disclaimer. I am not an insurance agent. I'll even play one on TV, y'all.
Yes.
My additional insurance. I have an additional policy of $500,000, and it's a professional liability. And that's with Hartford Insurance. And I pay $314 annually for this policy. Now, the professional liability gives me a little more coverage than the $100,000 because I do other things under EC Head Consulting, such as I write some grants. I write business plans for people. You know, I can write a business plan for somebody and they tell me, well, look, you wrote this business plan and I was supposed to get $100,000. I didn't get $100,000, so I'm suing you. And I'm like, no, you're not. I said I would write your business plan. Now, I didn't say it was going, I did not guarantee I was going to make you some money. But see, they're going to, if they sue me anyway, my professional liability policy is going to cover that. Any questions on that?
I am surprised to see how affordable the insurance is, you know?
Yeah.
Well, so I see it as being affordable.
Right, right. You know, affordability is relative because it depends on what's in your pocketbook, you know? So what's, but yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. For me.
I have a question. Oh, so
Yes,
you also write business plans? Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Good to know.
Now, I will tell you, it's not my primary thing to do now.
Right.
So it's going to take her a long time.
Yeah, it takes a long time to write a good business plan. And so in fact, I have one that I've been working on now for a couple months, and I ain't nearly done, but he gave me a reprieve. So I'll get it done. I'll get it done. So anyway, now, what is a notary surety bond? Who wants to help me out with that one?
No one.
The surety bond most states require notaries to buy is designed to protect consumers, not the notary. If someone files a claim against you and a loss is paid out of your bond, you'll have to reimburse your bond company for the amount of the loss and any legal costs. If you had a full loss on a $15,000 bond, for example, your total tab could run $20,000 or more. And that's NNA updated 6920. The surety bond is purchased when a notary is commissioned. The bond policy is maintained at the Secretary of State for the state of Texas.
And I wanted to make sure that you know that for the state of Texas, that's where our bond is maintained. Other states could be different. Now, when I first started, these people were asking me to give them my bond. And I'm like, okay, I kept giving them my errors and omissions insurance because I didn't have a bond. I didn't have a piece of paper that said it was a bond. And then finally, because they kept rejecting it. So finally, I went to the Secretary of State and I told them I needed a copy of my bond. And they explained to me that no, whoever's asking you for that, for a copy of your bond, they should not be asking you for that. We maintain your surety bond. And so I said, well, they're not going to give me any business if you don't give me a copy of that bond. So she did send me a copy of the bond. Boy, she redacted the devil out of that thing. So just know that you will not necessarily have a copy of that bond in your hand as you do your errors and omissions insurance policy. So that's one thing for you to keep in mind, that it comes with your notary commission for the state of Texas, and that's through the Secretary of State. Some other places like the county, Illinois, I think those are held at your county clerk's office. All right, now let's look at the bond. And
Wait,
this
can we pause for a moment? We have someone in the chat. It
Okay.
says, why is the bond needed if we are still liable?
Why is the bond needed if you're still liable?
Yes.
The bond is going to protect you up to $10,000. So if someone sues you because the bond protects the public, E&O insurance protects you. So if you do something and you get sued under your commission, then of course your surety bond is going to protect you up to that $10,000. It's $10,000 in the state of Texas. It may be different in other states. Keep in mind, should someone sue you for $10,000, you cannot use your commission until such time as you reimburse that bond. You have to buy another bond. And then anything over $10,000, you are responsible for it. Did that answer your question? It's just like if you have homeowners insurance and someone slips and falls, but on your policy, it only covers, say, $25,000. Well, they sue you for 50. Well, your insurance is going to pay the 25. The other 25 would go into a deficiency judgment type. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, okay, go ahead.
Do you know of an example where someone's had to use their surety bond?
I do not personally.
Okay.
However, there are all kinds of stories. If you Google notary lawsuits, there are all kinds of stories that are out there where people have been sued. I do not know any notaries personally who have had to use their bond or their errors and omissions insurance because of wrongdoing, but it happens. Tamika, you were talking about one with somebody. Weren't you talking about one in class this morning?
Yes, Teddy
Pendergrass.
Teddy Pendergrass, the notary that did his will, was sued because they weren't present. So they notarized it without him being present. So sued, went to jail, all that.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about this bond, and keep in mind this is from section 406.010 of the Texas Constitution. So we're going to start with, each person to be appointed a notary public shall, before entering the official duties of office, execute a bond in the amount of $10,000, which we've been talking about, with a solvent surety company authorized to do business in this state as a surety. Now, let me just stop there for a moment. We're talking about surety bonds for notaries. There are all kinds of surety bonds for other things, like in your banks. They have to have surety bonds, but those are different from that which is used for the notary. But the bond must be approved by the Secretary of State, payable to the governor. We're paying the governor, y'all, and conditioned on the faithful performance of the duties of the office. The Secretary of State has the authority to accept an electronic filing of a notary public bond if an agreement has been made with the surety company. Any questions on that? That's a mouthful. And we've got several of these because it's dealing with the actual laws. So are there any questions on that? Okay. Let's see. I'm getting ready to call on somebody to read this one for me. Someone want to volunteer before I start looking for somebody?
I'll volunteer, Liz.
Before you
Yes!
before you go, Miss Coleman, can you answer the question in the chat? Did you see it or I need to read it? You see it?
Are you talking to me?
No, Miss Coleman, I was asking before you read, I needed Liz to respond to the chat.
Oh, you were talking to me. You were talking to me. Let me find the chat.
No, never mind. This is
Okay,
required when becoming a LSA, not just a notary, correct?
This is required to become a notary. You have to be a notary in order to be an LSA or a loan signing agent. So you got to be a notary first. Okay, Ms. Coleman.
Okay.
You're up.
All righty. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear.
The notary bond shall be deposited in the office of the Secretary of State, is not void on first recovery, and may be sued on in the name of the injured party from time to time until the whole amount of the bond is recovered. The notary public, before entering on the duties of office, shall take the official oath required by Section 1, Article, 16, Texas Constitution.
All right. All right.
And I don't know what I just read. Okay.
Yeah.
But you read it so well. Okay. Another in the chat. It says in Texas, and then it says I'm a notary in another state, and I wasn't told of any of these bonds and insurances.
Say that again, baby.
I am a notary in another state, and I was not told of any of these bonds and insurances.
Well, depending on, I don't know of any state that does not require you to have a bond with your notary commission. So if you want to make sure, well, what state are you in?
And MJ, you can talk. Or you just like me reading North Carolina.
Okay, you can check, you can just Google, we love Google, and ask if a notary bond is required in the state of North Carolina. I think you're going to find that it is, but I'm not certain. I don't know all of the states, but some kind of protection is probably required for your notary commission. And so just check that out. Okay. Now I'm not looking at the chat, Tamika, so you'll have to let me know.
It's not, I just Googled. I guess that's why it was never mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, great. And I want to know why Jerry got, why his name is Blackstone 12, and he was on camera and then he went off. I'm just messing with you, Jerry.
Okay.
All right. Who wants to take this?
Can I just interject before someone agrees to read this? This is the classroom style that we have since we've been in Zoom. It's very interactive. We ask you to participate, read screens. Tanya can attest to that. We had class this morning and she was like, I gotta read. So this is how we keep you engaged in our classroom. I mean, it's hard to do something on Zoom. So this is the way that we engage with each other. You know, we talk about it, we speak. It's not something that you have to just sit and listen to. It's interactive. So I just wanted to put that out there. And so now, any volunteers?
All right, kids, I'm up again, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right, section 406.010, bond oath. The oath shall be signed and sworn to or affirmed by the notary public in the presence of a notary public or other person authorized to administer oaths in this state. A notary public cannot execute his or her own oath of office. The Secretary of State shall provide an oath of office form along with the commission and educational materials. Subsections A and B do not apply to a person who services as a notary public or perform primarily as a state officer or employee.
Any questions on that? No questions? Nothing in the chat?
Nothing in the chat.
All right. Okay, the NNA's Notary Commission and Surety Bond. Texas law requires all notaries to purchase and maintain a $10,000 notary surety bond for the duration of their 4-year commission. The notary bond protects the public of Texas against any financial loss due to improper conduct by an Texas notary. I think there should be a, but I got it from NNA, y'all. The bond is not insurance protection for Texas notaries. Again, it protects the public, does not protect you. For your convenience, the Texas state filing fee is included with your bond purchase when you purchase through the National Notary Association. So this just outlines what it costs if you're getting it through the National Notary Association. The National Notary Association is not the only place that you can get this information or you can get these documents or this coverage. And if you don't want, sometimes people don't want to go through the National Notary Association, where there's the American Association of Notaries that's based in Texas. You can talk to your own insurance agent to find out if it's something they offer. So you do have options when you're purchasing your insurance. Any questions? Notary best practices. I mentioned earlier that basically you can get sued for anything. You don't have to do anything wrong. It's just someone thinks that you did something wrong or you harmed them in some way. So the E&O insurance is vital protection for you against unintentional mistakes or baseless allegations of impropriety. The notary surety bond is vital protection for the public against any misconduct. Notary's best practice. In order to, I always say, if you can't defend it in court, don't do it. If you know, sometimes you'll go to the line, but you don't cross the line. So as long as you think that if there's a possibility that you may get sued, then don't do it. That's that little intuition telling you, danger, danger. You know, it's kind of like if you use the notary's best practices, it's a guardrail for you to keep you within the boundaries of being legal as a notary. But there are some best practices. Who wants to read the first part? I'm going to say the left part. Your left part, my left part. I don't know if it's the same. Who wants to start with notarized only for signers who are present? That side, whatever side it is you looking at.
I can, Liz.
Okay.
Okay, notarized only for signers who are present. Never pressure a person to sign. Don't give advice. Maintain your impartiality. Complete certificates carefully and completely. Don't let anyone use your seal.
Very good. Anybody
I'll
want
do the right side. I'll do the right side. Don't notarize documents with blank spaces. Know or identify your signer. Keep a journal. Your commission expiration date. Protect loose certificates.
Very good. All right. Any questions on any of this? Okay. Since there are no questions, would you allow me to ask you a question?
Sure.
Let's look at know or identify your signer. How do you identify your signer? What document are you looking for in order to identify your signer?
2 forms of government issued ID cards or IDs.
Okay. Did you say 2 forms?
Yes.
Okay, basically you need at least 1 form, but it's got to be a government issued ID. Very good.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 2. Okay.
That's for loan signings. For loan signing, you need 2 IDs, but only 1 has got to be government issued.
Okay.
The second one can be what?
Tanya.
What is it called? Secondary ID?
Yes.
Secondary, like the Social Security card?
Yes.
Maybe a work ID if it has a picture.
Yes. And I even used someone's CDC. Did I say that right? The COVID-19
card.
Yeah, I used that the other day. It was so cool.
Tanya, did you see how she just said that again? She said it this morning the same way and she's still excited about it. Like, what?
So happy to have gotten that second shot. I'm happy.
Like she just said it like she never said it before. Yeah. We just heard this morning.
Leave me alone. Obtain insurance for high value transactions. Now, we know that every notarization that we do is important. We have important jobs. We are officers of the state. So we have important jobs and we are to be respected. You know, what we do, it garners respect. Don't get me going down that rabbit hole. But anyway, every notarization is important, from the parental permission slip to the living trust documents. Some potentially involve great sums of money that may expose the notary to significant financial loss if something goes wrong. However, you won't always know what your potential exposure is with any one document that you notarize. The best protection against your liability risk is to do what?
Follow the law.
You're going to follow the laws. You got to follow the law and the best practices when you're notarizing. Despite your best intentions, you may make a mistake. That's why there's E&O insurance to protect your personal assets. Following best practices during the notarization will help protect you, while E&O insurance will protect you after the notarization is complete. So you're doing best practices, chances are you're not going to get in trouble. But let's just say that you followed best practices and you still get in trouble. Then that's when your E&O insurance is going to protect you. Any questions?
I have a thought. You says for high value transactions. So do you think there's different levels of E&O insurance you could buy that could possibly cover high value transactions if things go wrong?
Absolutely. In fact, I don't remember the name of the company, but you can actually buy what's called temporary errors and omissions insurance. You can buy it for a month, let's say. And then let's say that you get this big commercial deal that you're going to, be the notary for. Well, let's say that it's worth $10 million. This deal that you're the notary for is a $10 million deal. Then you'll want to perhaps go and buy that temporary insurance to protect you in the event there's a mistake on this $10 million deal. Now, when you start doing that kind of stuff, you are you are up there as a notary.
Big time.
You're big time, but that's going to be more commercial type deals that you would do. But those are out there. Think about it. These multi-million-dollar corporations, somebody's got to be notarizing their documents, notarizing their signatures. And that's where you also have to be extremely careful. And it doesn't have to be a $10 million deal. With a lot of the corporations or whatever, they're busy. So they may send their secretary and tell that secretary to tell you, the notary, you need this done. Yeah, they've signed it. You didn't see them sign it, but the secretary is bringing it to you. You don't do it because that could land you. You just violated your commission because that individual is not present. That makes sense? But yes, there is temporary insurance that you can purchase.
We have a comment in the chat.
Yes, ma'am.
It says, as a nurse, we are taught to always perform best practice as if you may have to defend your actions in court.
Absolutely. And that's exactly, you want to use best practices here. As in our notary world, use best practices. Okay. Good one. Good one. All right. Your primer. This is a Texas notary primer. You always want to keep this primer handy. Every state has a primer. It may be called Notary Handbook or something of that nature. But this is just a little book because, you know, the state statute is quite lengthy. But what they've done is to take out a lot of the pieces, the most crucial parts, and they put it in this handbook for us. I keep mine, well, not so much anymore, but see, it's just a little bitty book, just a little bitty book. But you see where I have tabs, when I first started, I got calls about certain kinds of notarization, and it's like, okay, what do I do with that? And then it's like, well, let me see what the book says. And so that's why I have little tabs on here. But you keep this book handy. It's small enough that you can put it in your notary bag, and do not be embarrassed to pull it out and use it, even if you're sitting in front of someone and it's like, well, wait a minute, I gotta look. They would much prefer, I believe, most people would much prefer you look up the answer rather than doing their paperwork the wrong way, which could cause delays for them. Know your laws, but you can't memorize every single thing. Therefore, you read this little book for familiarity, not to memorize everything, but for familiarity. And then if something comes up, you say, oh, I remember seeing something about that. And then you just go to your table of content to be able to find what you're looking for. That's just my suggestion, because there's way too much information for us to remember everything. Any questions on that primer?
Yes.
Now, is the primer a breakdown of, what is it, the Texas law?
Yes, yes, ma'am. What it does is it gives you I'm going to say what they deem probably the most important parts. And most of it is in this journal. In this little primer. It's just in a different format than that which we've just looked at. When it's in the actual format of the law, it looks ugly, like it did what I had on the screen. But in your primer, it's written more like a book.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering what that was because I saw it on the NNA website.
Yes, ma'am. You need this.
Okay.
Everyone needs this. Now, when I started way back when, ancient years ago, this automatically came with my commission.
That's what someone asked. But it came with mine too. It came with mine too. Alicia asked, did you purchase that from NNA?
So it depends on the package that you get, perhaps. So if you get the package where this is included, then yes, it's there. If not, If you've already purchased your package for your notary and you did not get this, I would recommend that you get it and you keep it with you.
Okay, okay.
That good?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. I know I didn't do a good job cropping this picture, y'all, but you got it, right?
You did an excellent job cropping the picture. It looks
Look,
just
girl,
like
I
it does
am
on the
not
website.
I am not the photographer. So now we get to my training workshops. Before I do that, any questions, any more questions on the bond and on the E&O insurance? And do you now know the difference between the two?
Yes.
You just answered for 30 people, and I'm gonna go with that.
I know that's right.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, so we do, I think Tamika, I know Tamika mentioned at the beginning and that we do the workshops, and we do Notary 101, which is teaching you the notary laws. We teach you in there. We also teach you how to get hired with notary work. We teach you how to make some money, because sometimes people are saying, I'm not going to do that notarization for $6. Well, you can make more than that. We will tell you how. You practice on doing the notarial certificates, because keep in mind, our primary job is to identify the signer and to complete the notarial certificate. It's not our business what's in the document necessarily, but we need to know how to correct, how to do our notarial certificates. We need to know how to correct our notarial certificate if it is not done properly. When I say properly, let's say that your venue is missing on a notarial certificate. You need to add that. Let's say that it's got the wrong year on it. You need to fix that. So things like that. There are some things that you, as a notary, you have to make sure you know how to correct. You're only responsible for the notarial certificate, not the content of that document. Yeah, you may peruse it just to make sure what you're signing or what you're notarizing, but it's not our business what's actually in there. Then of course we have our workshop 1. In workshop 1, I send you a packet of documents just like you would get from a hiring company. And we go through those documents in class. I give you a script to use in order to present your documents. We talk about what you do when you get that first assignment, what you do while you're at the table, how you conclude that closing, how you send your packages back, and all of that good stuff. So in workshop 2 and 3, those are the more advanced documents or financing types like cash outs, reverse mortgages, and HELOCs are in workshop 2. Workshop 3 is your modification, your seller packages, and investment loan packages. I'm going to suggest to you guys that you start thinking about reverse mortgages and modifications, because in the coming months, those are going to become hot ticket items. I've already seen an increase in the number of reverse mortgages that come through, as well as modifications. As soon as we're out of this, as soon as the what do you call it? Moratorium ends on foreclosure, a whole lot of people are going to need modifications, and so be ready. I say stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because reverse mortgages, and old people like me, we're going to reverse mortgages because a lot of people who may have still been working, but because of COVID, they decided, I'm not going back out there and risk my life. So I'm going to retire, but use the equity in my home to shore up my retirement income. Becoming a mobile notary signing agent is another excellent way for those of us who are retired to supplement our income. So don't sleep on my classes. Now, of course, we are in Zoom. We do our classes on Zoom now. We started Zoom in April of 2020. It was necessary for us to pivot to Zoom because of the pandemic. Basically, we are classroom trainers. That face-to-face stuff, but I got to tell y'all, I'm liking this Zoom. Because I can roll out of bed.
Yes,
I can roll out of bed at 7
I
o'clock.
can keep my pajama pants on.
I'll be at the computer at 8.
Yes.
But I
Tanya,
am
you didn't
gonna-
even know I had pajama pants on this morning,
No, I
did you?
did not know.
But I am going
Y'all
back
said it, I was just thinking it.
But I am going back to the classroom, and my plan is to go, and hopefully this thing will be more under control, because I will go back to the classroom in 2022. I'm not going to go back for 2021. You know, and it's not like I respect COVID, but you know, I'm not going to let it put me in jail. I'm not going to COVID jail, but I do respect it. So I'm gonna hang back a little bit, but you know, I got my second shot, so I'm a little bit more confident. Okay, so
In the chat, can you take the classes out of the order listed?
yes, ma'am.
And how you know that was a ma'am?
Oh,
MJ, are the workshops required to become an LSA?
no, ma'am.
Okay, how do you know these are ma'ams? You're not looking at the chat.
I know. Okay, well, let me just say.
She said, "I am a ma'am."
You know what? Here's the thing. You said is the training required in order to be an LSA? No, training is not required. Paid training is not required. You can just decide one day, hey, I got my notary stamp. I passed that little NNA test. I'm going out here and get me some signings. Go ahead, do that. And then I had a lady who called me today, who called me last year. I remembered her. And she said, well, maybe I'll come to class, but she kind of hung back. And then a few months ago, she decided, because she had all her credentials, she told me she decided to go do some closings, and she did 3. She said, I thought I knew what I was doing. She said, but I messed that second one up so bad. I said, I got to call Liz. So, and I said, that's okay. And here's why it's okay. Because sometimes we don't know what we don't know. Yep. So once you find out, it's kind of like, once you know the right thing to do, then that's when you do the right thing. The other thing is sometimes people just don't want to spend the money for training. I got a YouTube video on that YouTube channel, and it says do it yourself training. You can train yourself to do this business as long as you're willing to put in the time. And I give you some steps on what you can do in order to train yourself. The important thing is that if you're going to do notary, we just talked about how you could get sued. You want to do it the right way. So you want to know your laws. You don't want to go to Notary 101? That's okay. Go to the Secretary of State's website and read the laws. Read what you can and cannot do. If you've got the time, do that. NNA, when you do your signing agent exam, they have notary essentials. It's not necessary for you to take that. I do it every year and I love it. It is so cool because you need to do something every year just to keep abreast of what's going on. So I do that notary essentials, and the notary essentials is way longer than that little 30 questions that you get on that test. And somebody told me it was 45 questions now. Well, I just redid it in March. It was only 30. So maybe if you're new, it's 45, but for renewal, it's 30. I don't know. But the Notary Essentials are it's so good. It's so good.
It's so
But
cool.
anyway, it's so cool.
We're
So
gonna
what
have
you
to
want-
we're gonna have to check the credentials of the word cool for you, because you said the CDC card and now a test was cool.
Okay, but it's good information. Let me put it like that. Let me just put it like that. So no, training is not required. But it's recommended, and it's recommended that you do something every year just to keep abreast of what's going on. It depends on, like I said, if you got the time, you train yourself, or, you want to go and wing it. It just means that it takes you longer to learn. And then what you're doing, you're practicing. If you go out there without the proper training, then that means you're practicing on a customer. And when you're dealing with their mortgage documents, this is important stuff. You are affecting their lives. So just know what you're doing. I encourage you. And then notaries get a bad name sometimes because some of the real estate agents or mortgage lenders who are in the room when we're closing, they say, well, that notary didn't know what she was doing. That notary just handed the paper and said, sign. You need to know what you're handing them, and you need to know what to tell them to do with the documents that you hand to them. So just keep that in mind as you go forward doing your job. And then you have to know also how you learn best. If you learn best by looking at some modules, there are a whole lot of people who have the pre-recorded classes that you can take advantage of. We do not pre-record any of our classes. Our classes are on Zoom live, just like we are now. So you have the opportunity to ask questions, and we are available to you after class to answer any questions that you might have. Any other questions?
We have some in the chat. So I just went out of order because I was looking it up. So the next Notary one-on-one class is May 1st, Saturday, May 1st. And then we also do the following Wednesday, which is May 5th. I put a class on Cinco de Mayo? Shame on me. Okay, so first, I can say thank you for the class a few weeks ago with NPR. I had a closing on Saturday, and the Form 1003 was in the package. Due to the workshop, I was able to be alert during dealing with the 1003, so thank you. Besides the Texas Primer book, what other books you recommend as general notary work?
Let me put my dress down. I just put everything in the camera, didn't I?
No, we couldn't see anything. I
recommend this, Notary Best Practice by Professor Clausen. It's thicker than that primer, but
Ooh,
again,
thicker than a Snicker.
Yeah, and it's not specific to any state, but Professor Clausen also deals with some of those like lawsuits, people who've been sued. Yeah, and then if you Google him, because he did a workshop, he was in the workshop for.
Wait, don't put it back. Don't put it back.
Can
you read the ISBN number on that, please? It's on the back.
Well, how about if I just put it in the chat, because I might say it wrong.
You're right.
I'll be quiet. Now, Mika, you have to explain to them who you are to me, because not everybody on here knows why you get smart with me.
I was getting smart.
Well, not then, but you did.
They already know someone put your daughter, of course.
Okay. Why can't I find my chat box?
Oh, man.
I've been having, well, y'all know I was having problems sharing my screen earlier. Oh, there it is. Stuff keep moving. Okay.
The book is on the NNA website, Sonia said.
Yes, it is. It's on the NNA website, and it's also in Clausen's. It's also on no, it was anyway on Amazon, but somebody was trying to buy it because we did a
Book club.
we did a book club on it, and they couldn't find it. So let me see.
A notary book club, y'all. That's what she was in. She asked me if I wanted to join. No, thank you.
So I want to
Oh,
know.
you have some company. So she said she missed the book club. She's becoming a notary nerd. You have company.
Yep. It was Notary Nerd. It was Notary Nerd where we did this book. It sure was. So I'm a notary nerd as well. Don't you just love it? Don't you love them?
Isn't it cool?
Yes, yes.
Oh, y'all ain't funny. Y'all ain't funny. Okay, so there it is in the chat for everyone. Okay, so if there's nothing else, I want to thank you guys for being with us this evening. You could have been anywhere doing some cool stuff.
Oh, it says, right, real cool stuff. It says it's not available on Amazon right now. Let's see.
Okay, so you go to Notary Internet. They'll have it for you. Okay, one other book. Where is it? Oh, I'm looking right at it. Sign and Thrive by Bill Soroka. And then the interesting thing is about this book, everyone who comes to the workshop 1 will get one of these books. But this is good to have as well. If you're not coming to class in order to get one and you don't already have one, this too, you can buy from Amazon or you can buy it from National Notary Association. Great book. And pretty soon you'll be able to buy my book.
Yes, love it. Okay, before we sign off, this is my first time joining and I enjoyed this webinar. Thank you both so much. Thank you for the compliment. Please join our Facebook group as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. Is there a book with forms?
Is there a book with forms? Do you mean like the notarial certificates?
And you guys can come off mute and ask yourself.
What is the Facebook page name?
EC Head Training Workshops. EC Head Consulting Training Workshops.
Okay.
Are you sure? Isn't it EC Head Notary Training Workshops?
Okay, I found it.
Now, EC Head Consulting is just the landing page, business page, but EC Head Notary Training Workshops is the
forms like sellers or refi.
Forms like sellers or are you talking about loan document forms?
Yes.
Or,
samples.
Okay. If you're talking about loan document forms, we give you those in class. We give you forms, the whole documents in class. However, I'm showing you another book.
She got all the notary books.
Can you see this? Okay, this
came with the package too.
Yeah, if you buy a particular package, you get this book, Loan Document Source Book. And it's got a lot of forms in here. They also, In reviewing this book, it's good, but a lot of it deals with California. And of course, we deal a lot with Texas. But the purchase part of this, it's all documents that only California uses, because it's dealing with what do you call it? Like when they get those fires, wildfires and stuff like that. But earthquake, yes, geological stuff. It deals with a lot of geological stuff. But just like Indiana and Ohio and Illinois, I think, they deal with a lot of waterways because they're on the water, and Louisiana. So you're going to have documents that are specific to certain states, but this is not a bad book at all. It will tell you, you know, what most of the forms are. And some of these forms, when you're looking at them, if they say California, are you looking at the form and it says Texas? The body is going to pretty much be the same. So just know that you read the top of the document, but it's basically, you know, if it says Texas, California, Ohio, it's the same information. They're just giving it their own little twist. Okay.
Okay.
Now, are there two versions of the 1003?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, that's what Tamika was talking about. You know what? I'm playing with the new 1003 to see how I can get it in the class. But it's not time for me to replace the old 1003 yet, because the new 1003 is effective February 1st. And it's a lot longer than that 4 or 5 pages that we use now. But with time, I think we will enjoy it better, because they only initial in one place if it's a single person, and each person is initialing one time, and then they sign at the bottom of page 10, 12, you know, whatever it ends up being. They have combined like their demographics information, which is separate right now from the old, from the current 1003. That has become a part of the 1003. I've also seen two different things, two different types of the new 1003. One of them has the additional addendum, which identifies the signers who have alternative lifestyles. Well, on 1003, I saw that that document has also been added to the 1003, but I saw another 1003 where it was not. So I think they're still some lenders are still working out. They may have jumped on the first one that was issued, which was without that alternative lifestyle document. So some of them started using it right away. Well, now they added that piece and it's not there. I am going to post that 1003 in the Facebook group. I've been trying some different stuff with it, and I actually put it on a PowerPoint, but I can't get the type big enough like to display. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I better figure it out before that next class though, on the 17th. But yes, ma'am, we have a new 1003. We have a new Social Security Administration form, just a slight change with that. We also have new 4506s, but the old 4506 is still in there. We have the new 4506-C. And that, from what I understand, that has come about because of the online notarizations.
So we just have to be familiar with all versions then, sounds like, right?
Yes, ma'am. Because everybody, what's happening with the 1003 is that there were applications that were already in the pipeline prior to, let's say, February 1st. So all of those loans have to get out of the pipeline. So it'll probably be another 3-4 months before the old 1003 will go away altogether.
Okay. Thank you.
You asked me one little question and I talked for 15 minutes, didn't I?
Oh, no, I love it. Thank you.
I'm
and you know what?
sorry.
And thank you for this training, because even when I went to the office, to turn in my application and everything for my commission, and I asked, what is the bond for? Like, no one could tell me exactly what it was for. So I appreciate the way you actually broke everything down.
I can't
in
see
layman's
you. Who's
terms.
talking?
Joseph A.,
Joseph A.
San Antonio.
I see
Is
you now.
anyone else here
Well-
from San Antonio?
Well, I see your name. I don't see your face. Why can't I see your face?
Because her
Hey,
camera
Jerry.
is off.
You know what? I will show my face when I take the workshop.
I know that's right.
Well, you have to show your face in the workshop. All cameras must be on. And if you're late, guess what you got to do?
No,
You
read.
gotta dance. You gotta dance if you're late. All right. Okay. Well, Tamika always gets me because she said I go over.
You're
But I
6
want to make
minutes
sure,
over.
are there any, pardon, darling?
You're
What'd you
6
say?
minutes over.
Are there
Is
any
anyone
other?
else from San Antonio that's here in San Antonio? No? Okay.
But that's okay. You're in good company because Tamika comes to San Antonio at least once a month to see her
Business.
boyfriend.
Business.
Oh, okay.
Business.
We have to plan a mentoring session.
How about happy hour?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. But see, y'all, she laughs at me when I say certain things. But how about I called a friend of mine because I got my COVID shot. She got her shot.
And that was
I
so
said-
cool.
I said, we can have a play date. We can have a play date. I'm having me a play date on Sunday.
Alrighty then.
All right, y'all.
Thank you again.
Oh, you're
Yes,
so
thank you.
welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you guys for being here, and I hope that it has been a benefit. Hey, Jerry, has been a benefit for you, and do keep coming back. And don't forget to do that thing on YouTube where you like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
All right. All right.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have a
everyone. Good night.
Have a great week.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.